So a while ago, I gave you all my rankings on the starter trios, and it was definitely well received. But here's the thing, since then, my opinions have changed on some of them, as well as the fact that we have an entire new trio of starters to rank. So I've decided to update my rankings of all the starter trios and give you all a new take on all of them. Note, I wouldn't do a video like this unless I felt like I made a big enough changes to the list to justify doing it. So this will likely be the only time I ever update a video like this. I'm sure there are a lot of you that haven't seen my old video, so this will be new to all you regardless. And for those who have seen the last one, I think it'll be different enough that you all can still enjoy. The criteria I'm judging all these Pokemon off of will be their designs, how useful they are whether it be in competitive or in-game, and how well the three go together as a trio. With all that being said, let's overwrite my previous thoughts and opinions on the starter trios. So at the bottom of the list, once again, are the Unova starters. Now I will say, I almost placed them one spot higher, but it just didn't feel right. I just don't care for these three that much. To say the positives about them, I love the Superior line. It's completely solid all the way through, and it just works extremely well. The fact that it actually does have little arms behind its back really surprised me too. Oshawott is an adorable little otter, and Duat is one of the best designed middle stages in the series, hands down. Tepig is definitely cute, and Ashes in the anime had such a sad backstory that I would have been a monster to not like it. Emboar also has some pretty cool lore behind it, being based on Chinese culture, and more specifically, Chang Fei. But for the negative talking points, I still just wish Samurott felt more samurai-like, and Emboar felt more boar-like. People don't really like bipedal starters, myself included, but I actually think Samurott should be the exception to that rule. Equally though, I feel like Emboar should have more boar-like traits and drop down to all fours. Perhaps it'll get some sort of form change in the future, as it really isn't out of the question at all. Candacer's got Megas and Gigantamax forms, Hoenn also got Megas. Alola got their own Z moves, which is not quite the same as a form change, but is still somewhat special. And then of course the Gallo starters got Gigantamax forms too. It might be a while before we see something happen with them, but I can feel it in my gut that they will get something special in the future. Coming up next, we have a set of starters that got bumped down a bit since the last video, being the Kalos starters. This definitely comes at a pretty ironic time, considering the fact that Greninja just won Pokemon of the Year. The reason I put these three so low is the fact that X and Y were just such forgettable games, and most of the starters were either equally forgettable or ones I just straight up disliked. Doing the X and Y alternate starter best teams really made me realize how much I didn't care for Kalos, as well as any starter that wasn't Greninja. Chespin is extremely adorable, don't get me wrong, but Quilladin, this chunky boy was just lying dormant in the back of my mind for the last year and a half, that I couldn't even remember its name until recently. Now, I don't really dislike it by any means, but it's just not a Pokemon that I can easily remember. Then Chestnut is just... I mean, grass and fighting is a cool type combination, and I do kind of like the warrior/football player aesthetic it has going on, but it just isn't too memorable in my opinion. Don't even get me started with my heartbreak regarding the Fennekin line. Fennekin is an adorable fox that's on all fours, like it should be. Breakson, while not being bad at all, broke that and put the line on 2 legs. I could handle that if the final result had an adorable look like Breakson, but nope, it ended up like this. I get that it's a mage and the fur is supposed to be like a robe. That's fine and all, but it doesn't mean I have to like how the design turned out. And I don't. I don't at all. And then we come to the best line of this generation, being the Greninja line. All three are really solid Pokemon all the way through. Greninja also has one of the best shinies, in addition to being one of the best starters competitively speaking. It even got a pretty cool alternate form. With all that being said, I'm getting those old Charizard feelings that I used to have. I know it's a petty reason, but this thing is really starting to feel overrated. I mean, Pokemon of the Year? Really? I'm not saying it needed to be Umbreon or anything, but of all the 890 Pokemon available, this is the best? Yeah, that's a yikes for me. Maybe my feelings will change down the road, but at the moment, Greninja being hyped beyond belief has even further soared this otherwise mediocre group of Pokemon for me, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So taking the Kalos starter's spot are the Alola starters. Yeah, basically I just swapped each other out. The Alola starters have grown on me just a little bit more, not gonna lie. The Decidueye line to me is still pretty top tier. I mean, look at how much people love Rowlet. It literally ranked number 2 under Mimikyu, and then was followed by Decidueye. No love for Dartrix in the top 30 though, but that's okay. It's probably just crying a Fall Out Boy in its room right now. No big deal. The Primarina line is as majestic as ever, but that's really all I can say about it. And then there's the Incineroar line. Again, bipedal starters can make my skin crawl. Litten is great, and Torcat is amazing, but then Incineroar just stifles my hype for the line a bit. However, I have come to appreciate Incineroar a lot more since its inclusion in Smash Bros. I was pretty salty about it at first, but Incineroar is a really fun character to play, I can't lie. Note, I still don't care for it that much, but my opinion is definitely a lot higher than it previously was, which definitely justifies the bump up on my list. As I mentioned earlier, regardless of how everyone feels about Z moves from the competitive standpoint, I personally love them as they really are just gigantic anime finishing moves in Pokemon form. All three of the starters have super cool Z moves, and it really is a shame they'll only be used in Alola, but I digress. Then the last positive thing I can say about this bunch is that they're the only starters, besides the Kanto trio, to make it in the Sword and Shield. We'll have to see if they eventually let all of them in, Sceptile, but at the moment, it's a real treat being able to see these three lines in Pokemon Camp. Coming right in the middle and at the number 5 spot is the Sinnoh starter trio. So I've expressed before that the Sinnoh games really aren't all that. I'm sure when we eventually get those Sinnoh remakes, that they'll be amazing, but they're really just basic as can be. However, one of the largest saving graces of those games are the starters, for the most part. Let's start with Piplup, an absolutely adorable little penguin. Donda's in the anime was just the best and could make anyone love this little bird. Prinplup is okay, not the greatest in the world, but definitely not the worst. Then you have the intimidating force that is Empoleon. Such a powerful design, and to this day, is still the only water Pokemon with the water and steel combination. So I find that to be really cool. Then we have one of the best storylines of all time. We start with this cute little chimp, just plain adorable. And who could forget Ash's in the anime? Ash taking him in when Paul abandoned it was just really touching. Then you have Monferno, which has that amazing blue face. Then you get the indomitable force that is Infernape. 108 speed, 104 in both attack stats, access to Blaze and Iron Fist, and being one of the few starters that are actually competitive. All of that makes for one amazing line of Pokemon and is definitely one of my top tier favorites. But then you have this line. Turtwig, you're alright, but Grottle and Torterra? Yeah, they make you want to hurl. If Torterra was more like the ones in Detective Pikachu, I wouldn't be upset with that one bit, but it's just plain ugly. I can't give it any props whatsoever. If Sinnoh remakes do bring us something interesting for these three sets of Pokemon, I beg you, Game Freak, please fix Torterra somehow. I want to like it, but I just can't. Moving past from Sinnoh, we'll be talking about a fantastic line of starters. In my opinion, they're some of the best we've gotten in many years. I'm talking about the starters representing the newest generation of Pokemon, the Gallo starters. There is so much good about these lines, I don't even know where to begin. Let's just get my favorite out of the way, being the Scorbunny line. I may have swapped back and forth a lot on which of the three I like the most, but ultimately, I chose Scorbunny. I'm really glad I did, as I was greeted by Reboot, the super cute and edgy middle evolution. I just love how he looks like Shino from Naruto, minus the sunglasses. But nothing could have prepared me for how amazing Cinderace turned out to be. I was dodging leaks on Twitter left and right and was rewarded with getting to experience this final stage firsthand. It was so worth it. Cinderace is just unbelievably cool. I mean, you've all seen the Powerball animation, right? Cinderace is the absolute GOAT. The Rillaboom line isn't too shabby either. Flocky is a little odd for sure, but Grookey is adorable and Rillaboom is a really dope drum-playing gorilla. The Sobble line is a bit less favorable to me in all honesty. Sobble's fantastic, Drizzle is okay, but Inteleon is just bad to me, aside from its shiny. Another downside is that none of them have a dual typing. I would have loved to see Grass/Rock for Rillaboom, Fire/Electric for Cinderace, and Water/Ghost for Inteleon, but nope. We just got plain typings. However, that was rectified a little bit with the reveal of the Gigantamax forms for all three of them. I personally like Cinderace's the best with those gigantic floppy ears, but I can't knock Rillaboom with its entire drum set. I mean, heck, even Inteleon's is pretty cool and makes me have a higher opinion of it. Overall, I think these three starters, with the help of their new forms, really push the series in the right direction and how starters should be designed, for the most part. But now, we must move into the top 3. Falling a bit off from the last time, we have the OG trio of Pokemon starters. For as much as I dislike the Kanto region and its line of Pokemon, you cannot deny how good its starters are. Bulbasaur is just a precious little thing, and Venusaur is just a behemoth that I can't help but love. Squirtle is super simple in concept, but eventually turns into the prime example of what a Pokemon is. I mean, a turtle with cannons on its back is just a classic. And now I can finally say something nice about Charizard since I don't hate it anymore. He really is such a cool and iconic Pokemon. I mean, 21 years later, and people are still clamoring for that Holo Charizard. Sure, they get a lot of love from Game Freak, some might even say too much, but that love doesn't really hinder the series in my opinion. It shows that they're willing to take risks with old beloved Pokemon, and I think that's special. The Mega Forms for these three Pokemon were awesome, even if Charizard getting 2 was a bit unfair. Now with the Sword and Shield DLC, they can all enjoy amazing Gigantamax forms that in my opinion, blow their Megas out of the water. Being honest there, this trio would have definitely been a little lower had Blastoise and Venusaur not received Gigantamax forms of their own. Too much love for only one of them would have soured the trio for me a lot. However, I needn't worry about that, as that's not the case. All in all, the OGs are amazing to me and are absolutely deserving of this high placement on the list. But after thinking about it, I had to rate another region starters above them, and that would be the Hoenn region starters. Where do I even begin? The Blaziken line is just dope. I mean, we've talked about strong starters before, but this thing is on another level. It doesn't even need a Mega to be an Ubers. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Do you like Mudkip? Yeah, you're darn right I do. I love Swampert and his roided out Mega as well. Might not be as good as Mega Blaziken, but it certainly can pack a punch. But then we come to my favorite of the bunch, the Trico line. Ash's Trico in the anime just had such a cool personality. It was hard not to like him. So naturally, I've picked Trico several times in my own playthroughs. Grovyle is also one, if not the best middle stage Pokemon in the series. There is no awkwardness to it compared to a lot of others on this list. Then you can finally get to Sceptile. Sure, it might have stayed playing grass while the others got their fancy dual types, but Sceptile was just the coolest, and no one can change my mind about that. I have loved Sceptile so much over the years, so much in fact that I have one that's traveled with me throughout all the games since Gen 3. It's one of the only Pokemon that I felt needed to travel across the gens with me. You might have seen last week that the Hoenn starters are some of my most wanted Pokemon to return in the upcoming DLC, and that is solely because of Sceptile. I love my little buddy so much, and I just want to be able to play with it in-game again. Here's to hoping my wish will come true. Naturally, as there is only one region left I haven't talked about, we have the Johto starters at number 1. What can I say? I love me some Johto goodness. Silver was the first Pokemon game I ever played, and was what got me into Pokemon in the first place. Pokemon has been my passion over the years, and has even turned itself into a career for me. I've made amazing friends and I met amazing people because of this franchise, and it's literally changed my life for the better. So it's only natural that I would have this deep love for Johto, and the starters are no exception. They're all really perfect, to be quite honest. Totodile is a goofy little friend that just makes you smile when you see it. Crocodile is like a little crocodile mixed with caveman, which I just find too cool. And Feraligatr is just fierce looking. Also, it has them kicks. Cyndaquil is too precious with its long nose and closed eyes. Quilava, while just looking like a bigger Cyndaquil, still manages to be unbelievably cool. It's actually my favorite middle stage. And Typhlosion is just a beast. I mean, the 3D model has done quite a number on how cool it looks, but we're going off of nostalgia here, so don't question it. Then finally, my favorite line of all time, Chikorita, Bayleaf, and Meganium. All three are precious, but you all know by now that Chikorita has my heart. Ashes in the anime set that in stone for me, but I don't want to ramble on too much. This is something you all have heard by now, and I'm sure all expected. The Johto starters are simply the best, and for the foreseeable future, I don't think anything will change my mind on that. Well, that wraps up this updated version of my starter trio rankings. I know there were going to be a lot of similarities for the ones that didn't change their positions, so I definitely did my best to throw in some more interesting tidbits for you all. The starter Pokemon are truly a special bunch and have constantly brought the community together to hype up a new generation as well as tear it apart when it's time to pick sides. There's definitely something magical to that, and with Sword and Shield giving us new starters to have opinions on, I just felt it was only right to update this list. So I really do hope you all enjoy this video. But tell me, what are your favorite starters? I would really like if you drop your list down in the comments below, as I'm curious how everyone else feels now that we have another generation to add to the mix. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on Mystic Sage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further in game called Perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, Nigma97, and Kermit117 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.